Hello, and welcome to Small Business Stories, where we go behind the scenes with creators like you who are building a brand in today's dynamic marketplace. I'm Susan Fetterspiel, founder of the Brand Pixie, and today I'm joined by the amazing Jess Helgeson, who is the co-founder of the Sea Salt Taste Company, which offers a line of finishing salts that are imported from France. Welcome, Jess.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for being here. When I first saw Sea Salt Taste and I met you and your mom at Phoenix Flea, I was so curious about this brand, and I was also curious about what a finishing salt actually was. Anyway, I knew that I had to talk to you. I knew that I had to get the story behind this brand, so I so appreciate you being here and sharing your story with us today.
My pleasure. Thank you.
So let's start from the beginning. Can you tell us a little bit about the inspiration behind Sea Salt Taste?
Yeah. So the company is owned by my mom and I, like you mentioned, and I grew up in a household of just me, my mom, and my sister. And my mom would always present things in a really beautiful way. There wasn't always a ton in the fridge, but whatever we had, she would always plate really intentionally, and she would always finish it with a pinch of great salt. I didn't even realize that was a unfamiliar thing to other people.
Okay.
It just was a part of my culture and my house. So when we first launched, we were just a food blog, but we brought it to life through video. And that was really a neat vehicle for us because we could visually show these recipes.
Right.
We were always finishing every recipe off with a pinch of this great salt, and we started to get some feedback from people saying, well, what is that? And why are you doing that? And tell me more. And that's when I realized that this is a foreign idea to a lot of homes.
Yeah, I didn't know what it was, and now that I know that I can't live without it. So that's great.
I didn't tell her
by the end. By the end of this, you're going to feel the same way because it really does make such a big difference. So you, so that was sort of what got you started, was just having customers come back to you, or the people that were watching your food blog tell you that, like, what is this? Tell us more about it, and you saw an opportunity to kind of bring this. Into the marketplace.
It was pretty quick. It was pretty instantaneous that we realized, hey, wouldn't that be fun to someday be able to have our own finishing salt line? And so we started kind of dreaming of that while we were still doing the food blog. And it wasn't that much longer that we were able to actually private label. So the same salt that I used as a kid growing up, that my mom always had in the kitchen, is this same Fleur de Sel flour of salt. It's a French sea salt out of Ile-de-Ré, France. Okay. And in my opinion, it is the highest quality and the best tasting finishing salt that you can get.
So what makes it different from just, say, regular table salt? What makes a finishing salt a finishing salt?
Well, a finishing salt is a salt that you put on at the end. However, I can share different circumstances where you may not use it only at the end, but typically a finishing salt is used to enhance incredible natural flavors from your kitchen. It's going to give it that pop. So whether it be a watermelon salad, whether it be your eggs, whether it be a beautiful steak off the grill, anything, doesn't matter, your fresh green beans, finishing off with a pinch of great salt is going to bring out all those natural flavors.
Oh, wonderful.
What makes this particular salt different than table salt is that table salt's actually been refined. It's been heated to high temperatures. It's been bleached. It has a chemical in it that's an anti-caking agent that is no good for us.
Okay.
I don't need to get into the details of it, but it's no good. There's no reason this chemical should be in there. When you're looking at a naturally harvested salt, that means it has actually been bleached from the sun and dried by the wind. What that means to us is that you're left with all the minerals and electrolytes that your body truly needs that's naturally from the ocean.
Okay.
So we're talking iodine and magnesium, incredible things that a registered dietitian can go into more of why we need these, but our body is made of salt. We have to have salt. Right. Unfortunately, it has a bad rap because people associate salt with all the negatives of the high blood pressure and things like that. And that's absolutely true. That's not my point in any of this, but my point is that if you're eating processed foods, that's what's really going to drive all those negative side effects.
Mm-hmm.
If you're eating simply and clean and, finishing off with a pinch of great salt,
mm-hmm.
that should never be a problem for any of us. It fosters a great lifestyle.
Mm-hmm. And so the name, sea salt taste, where did you guys come up with that? What was the inspiration behind that name?
Well, obviously it's a cute play on words, right?
Cute.
And we believe that you eat with your eyes, and so that visually, it's such a powerful thing to have the beautiful colors on your plate and to have a nice crisp white plate with your intentionality of your dish that you've made. So seeing is really important. The other thing that's actually come about as years have passed, kind of serendipitous, is my mom actually has a macular degeneration in her eyes. And so as the world turns, sometimes I wonder if that actually, unbeknown to us, has now given another meaning to the name. Yeah.
Oh, that's neat. I think it's very true that so much of what we enjoy about food is the visual, right? And what we enjoy about the experience of eating is the visual. I know when I told you when I first saw you and your mom, and I saw your products at Phoenix Flea, I was like, what is this? Obviously they're beautiful. They really stand out. And I do want to talk about the sort of visual look and feel of your brand. But first, before we get there, I want to talk a little bit about kind of what's inside the brand. Because I think, especially small businesses, they really need to know and understand what's at the core of their brand, because that is going to guide their business. It's going to guide decisions that they make. It's going to give them clarity on, what platform should I be on? What should I be writing and talking about? What kind of product should I be making, right? And I think a lot of times people jump to the visual and they forget about the, what's driving those things. So I would really love to hear from you. Like, what is that sort of core idea that lives at the heart of the sea salt brand? Like, what is the thing that your brand stands for, or that it promises that nobody else can promise?
Well, I've thought a lot about this over the years, and one thing that really comes to mind is quality over quantity. Mm-hmm. And I think that really when I think about our salt being a French salt, and I think about France, and I think about the way that they live, it's intriguing, right? Like who isn't mesmerized by French fashion, by French cooking,
architecture,
the whole thing, the language is just so whimsical, and I think a lot of it is intriguing, particularly to a culture that we're living in right now, because it's a lot of things that we're actually lacking in. And I think the two words that come to mind, one is intentionality, and one is quality. And they maybe even kind of coincide together. When I think about the intentionality of taking a pinch of great salt at the end of anything, even the simplicity of your eggs in the morning for your kids, the intentionality of, again, putting it on a nice white plate, something so simple can come across and fuel your own heart and the hearts of who you're feeding in a different way, right? It doesn't have to be this overly complicated, tons of ingredients. It's more about the quality and the intentionality.
Simple thing that elevates an everyday thing.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm trying to say.
That's why I'm in branding. No.
Thank you. She's good. She's really good.
I'm kidding. I also see, I love what you just said. And I also have, I've been on your website. I've had a chance to sort of try to get to know what's behind the brand. And it feels to me like this is a brand that is really driven by its values. So I'd love to hear from you. What are those values that drive you and help you make decisions about what products to come out with, what partnerships to develop, what kind of packaging you want to have. So that's the kind of thing I think small businesses don't always think about, but your values really do drive decision making. So I'd love to hear that from you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say that, again, going back to quality, right? And so not compromising that this is the salt that I grew up using in my own kitchen, and this this is an incredible product that truly by itself stands out. We hit a couple crossroads. When we went into flavored salts, several people had said, well, hey, you don't have to use this really expensive fleur de sel as the base of your flavored salts. And of course that sounds tempting. You're like, oh my gosh, that could really help my profit margin. Like that would be incredible. But, especially working with my mom is obviously older than me, and she's been through life in a different way and has great perspective. And she was the one that kept saying, absolutely not. No way, Jose. And the reason why is because if we truly stand for something, that should be cohesive throughout. And people are going to learn to trust that. And that's what we need, and that's what we want.
Amen. I love that. I love your mom.
I love her too. I couldn't do it without her. She's fantastic.
No, but that is true. I mean, you have to stand for something, and often, when that is challenged by difficult decisions like your profit margin, or potentially, not being able to do something that you want to do, choosing to do the right thing and choosing to stand by what your brand stands for, I think really does make a difference, and customers do see it and do feel it, and it's part of that connection that they make with your brand because they trust you, right? And that's so important. I do now want to jump to how beautiful you are. Not just you.
Oh,
but your products.
Oh man,
both of you.
Thank you.
I mean, I think your branding is standout. I think it's gorgeous. It's very well done, and would love to hear the story behind how you developed it. What was the inspiration for your colorway, and kind of the experience that you got from visually consuming the sea salt brand.
I love the word visually consuming.
Yeah.
That actually.
I'm eating it up.
Yes. Okay. So a couple of things. So my husband owned a digital marketing agency for nearly 7 years, and so something really important right off the bat that he had told my mom and I is please create a brand guideline. Now I don't know, but I'm sure people out there watching this think like, oh, I don't want to create a brand guideline. Like I just want to move. I just want to just do it. Like, let's just get something out on the market and evolve. And there is some truth in that, right? You shouldn't sit and stew over something. That would be a negative. But a positive to getting something down on paper that is your brand guideline. It literally has made everything else simple. I think you mentioned that earlier just in our own private conversation. But it made everything else fall into place and saved me time in the long run and also kept me on a path. And so I think so often small businesses, we get off track, right? We're like, squirrel. Like, well, they're doing this. Well, I like that one. I like this, right?
Everyone's going here.
Yeah. And so this set of brand guidelines, I know you know what they are, but in my particular set, it's pretty simple. I mean, it has my colors. All the colors that we've chosen, I really wanted them to be appetizing. So when you say consumable, like I want them to be clean and appetizing. So like the bright green is supposed to represent, that freshness. And then blue obviously is classic and warm and all of that to help balance out. But this brand guideline actually has my fonts in it. It has if this then that. It has different logo styles. It has everything. So whether I go print cute tissue paper for inside my packing boxes, it's like a one click away. Like I literally just pull what I need and send it off. It's evolved over time, but for the most part, this logo, in fact, 100%, this logo for us is our original logo from nearly 5 years ago.
That's great. I mean, consistency is very underrated today. What you said, like people jumping from trend to trend or trying to stay current. I mean, the beauty of consistency is it allows your customer to build a trust with you. I mean, they see you over time and you feel solid and steady and not schizophrenic like some brands can be. And I think that's vital to building that connection and building that engagement and building that trust with your customer. So I love guidelines. Your husband's a genius.
Yes, that actually is true.
Yeah, he's very good. And did you create this yourself, or did you work with someone, an outside partner, to help you kind of create it?
I have, in my opinion, one of the best graphic designers in all of Phoenix. She's fantastic. I'm happy to share her name anytime that anybody needs. But she's had incredible experience working on very, very large brands. And so that she took Sea Salt under her wing has been a great blessing. But to build on that, I have used her since the beginning. And I remember one of my good girlfriends was talking about photography once, and she was saying, in your brand, if you can use the same photographer throughout your business, that consistency is going to be such a natural tool for you without you even realizing it, that is going to build your brand and is such an asset. And so getting to work with the same graphic designer, if anybody has the opportunity to do that, I would highly recommend it. If you find somebody that's a good fit for you, that you can continue to grow and you're not starting over from scratch every time. And I think that people visually can see that you're not switching. They might not know why it looks a little different or what's not feeling quite right, but that consistency of the same graphic designer is powerful.
Yeah, and I think what she captured so eloquently with your packaging and with your graphics is just, again, that sort of simple elegance, right? That intentionality and elevation is there. So she obviously understood what your brand was about and was able to bring it to life, right, through the packaging and the colors and the graphics. And I love that you guys are using, different materials. So you have a tin. And then you have this cute little pouch. Is this recyclable?
It is. It's a rice paper.
I knew it would be.
It's
a recyclable pouch. You've got a beautiful glass jar with this lovely ribbon, which is really helps to kind of identify the different flavors and pops off the shelf. So I think you've done just a really nice job of creating a consistent system, but giving each one of them its own little sort of unique, joie de vivre, if you will.
Well,
that was my friend.
I love that. That was amazing. Where we started was these rice paper bags, and these are very, very, very simple packaging. I'm not going to lie, and and I've thought about changing it over the years.
I love it.
I don't think I'm going to. The flavored ones, I wanted to elevate slightly, and so we did the glass jars with the nice tall lid. I want this to feel like a treat getting into it. And then our newest packaging that we've done here is these little variety packs. And we just launched these, and I'm quite excited about them. It was our first time using any illustration, is that what you'd say there? An illustration, which is kind of funny because this was not in the plan, but everybody tells me this looks like my mom.
Oh, it does.
And I didn't even think about it, but I think I'm going to go with it. So this is my mom. It's based upon her. Yes. And and so this is actually our second round of these. The first round that we did, we had a little bit issues with paper and different things like that, and so there's been definite learning curves and things as we've traveled through. But again, working with a great printer is incredibly important. If somebody that has different insights to help you,
because this is a nice varnish. It's really good. Yeah, feels really good.
Yeah, our first round did not have this, it's like a matte lamination, and what happened was the blue was transferring onto the white when we would travel with them. And so whether we were shipping or we were traveling to a market, and so of course I took it back to the printer, and he knew exactly what was going on with it and was able to make a suggestion of what we needed to do from here. So yeah.
Great. Good to have good partners. And I have to say, these tins are genius, because once you are hooked on finishing salt, you have to have it with you everywhere you go. So if you're out to eat, this goes in your bag and it comes out when the meal comes out.
Yeah, no shaker salt. We're out to take away the
it. Yeah.
It's all about the pinch.
So tell me a little bit about challenges. What's ahead for you in 2020? What are the things that you're kind of going to be facing this year, and how are you thinking about getting past them?
Well, our biggest goal, I'm not say our biggest, but one of our main goals this next year is to get into some of the big retailers. So we really want to get into Whole Foods, AJ's, Williams-Sonoma, and I think a couple of those are right on the horizon. So that's something we're thrilled about, and I'm sure that'll come with different obstacles of what we need to do to adjust some of our packaging or whatnot, and we'll have to
That's a big
maneuver.
step. Wow.
Yeah.
And then I really want to hear, well, let's end with that. First tell me, how do you come up with your different flavor varieties? I kind of want to know, like, behind the scenes, what's the thinking behind, like, the different flavors you offer here?
Yeah, no, I'd love to. There's a very strong thinking, actually. Every single flavor that we create, I want to be usable and somebody to know exactly what they're going to do with it, right? So I think recipe cards are fantastic, but if I really was to think about my own personality, I don't really care for recipes. I really like to just be inspired in my kitchen. I know that's not how everybody's brain works, but what was important to me is that we never create a flavor that gets stashed in the back of the cupboard. Somebody purchased it because it sounded wonderful and they sampled it and it tasted wonderful. That's all great. Those are all checkpoints that I want to have. But the most important checkpoint is that I want them to keep it on their countertop and be inspired of, like, I wonder if the lemon would be amazing on my green beans.
Right.
Or the pepper on my salad today. And so each one of them are very simple in their ingredients, meaning it's literally fleur de sel and a high-grade peppercorn. And people taste it and they're like, well, I've had salt and pepper my whole life. Like, whatever. And then they're like,
never like this.
And it dances because something so simple but done so well is what I want people to see in our products.
That's wonderful. Okay, final question, because I think that people really do want to hear from folks like you who've been through it, right? Like, I can preach branding or whatever, but they want to hear from folks like you who, what is your best advice to someone who's building a brand today? In this marketplace, what do you tell people when they ask you, like, oh, tell me about your brand? Like, what advice would you give them? Like, what's the sort of key thing that you think they need to be keeping in mind?
I think the key thing is to think about your demographic and who that person is, and to actually imagine them using that or keeping that on the counter or wearing that or whatever it is that you're trying to sell, and to think about, can you close your eyes and you can imagine that, right? And so can you imagine them being proud, and would that bring them joy? And does it bring you joy? I sound like who's the girl on HGTV, the joy. Anyways, it should be something that tells the story that you want to tell, even if you're not there.
Okay. So I love that. I think customer obsession is very key to every brand. Like, you have to know who your customer is, and like you said, like, get into their mind, imagine their day. Like, how does your product fit and live within their world, and how does it solve a problem that they have, or how does it elevate a moment that they're having? So great advice. Thank you, Jess. Okay, so that's it for this edition of Small Business Stories. Thank you again to Jessica Helgeson. Do you like Jess or Jessica?
I like Jess.
Jess.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to call her Jess. And we will see you next time we get together. Bye.
Farewell.